on in and meet the ladies. You know, I mean, there's a lot of them, so I hope you're ready for all this. There's a lot of women. I think first I'll introduce the situation in terms of why and how that I became fixated with creating all these dolls. It started probably as a youth. I love designing. I love creating. I used to love making my own doll clothes. So that was one of the sensations of being able to get some fabric and of seeing what I can create based on my own imagination. And as you can see, I have a lot of imagination. These are probably 125 of 336 that I have that's just on this first floor. And you look, so right here, a lot of them, and you can see they have their moods, and it's almost hard to walk through here because you'll see some of them look like they're ready to pick a fight, and you have some that are smiling, some of them are wondering. So I believe that a lot of their expressions, it might surface from what I might have really felt at that time, but all in all, it comes down to the fashion, and sometimes the dolls will represent a different theme or something in history that I want to convey, and so their outfits will correlate with that. A lot of times I have friends that'll bring over the fabric. It'll be the fabric alone that'll inspire. It might be a shade of purple, for instance. When I saw this shade of purple, it was like, whoa. You imagine, you fixate to that, the fabric and what, exactly how you want to stylize that particular fabric. A lot of friends will give me like pieces of broken earrings and different things. And after, I think once it started, as far as a young girl wanting to create and put into my talents and my ideas and my concepts, then I had a daughter. And it was really amusing because I wanted my daughter to have a concept of the fact that Black women were extraordinary. We just did things, in that we were in all phases of occupations, and it was very important for me to convey to her that we were powerful women. So I think I did 23 dolls, and it was so funny because she had no interest. She totally had no interest. Even today, they're my art and whatnot, but she really wasn't into dolls, which was okay with me because it wasn't so much that I wanted to be like the back in, I think we had like when she was come on, your Chatty Cathy and Barbie and all that. So that was okay, as long as she had an understanding of the fact that we were powerful. So it didn't keep me from making dolls because I ended up having grandchildren, and not so much even the older ones, but the younger ones. It's something to tell. It's history. I can go to schools and I do displays, and then the children can see. Maybe sometimes the dolls represent an era in time, and sometimes I even take, because I love books, and I'll take them in different like, for instance, we had To Kill a Mockingbird, or just recently, our president was featuring To Kill a Mockingbird, and I was like, yes, I have that on my shelf. And so I kind of put the doll next to it to accentuate the fact that, hey, we read To Kill a Mockingbird. And then it was like trying to find the right doll. And sometimes it's something military that occurs, and I might, like one of my friends during the Iraq War, I have friends that had actually lost their children, in the Iraq War. So a lot of them will commemorate, and I'll use a newspaper, the background, just things that, to say that I have an interest in what's going on, around me. And for instance, right here's a doll which represents she might have lost a son during the war, and her idea was that, okay, the flag was, well, I respect the flag, but I've lost a child. And there's the choir, woman represents the choir, and these two women represents the people who own the funeral home. So I probably go really way out in terms of my emotions that I have inside. I've lost 3 sons, so I'm really touched and emotional. I have dolls that speak on Mandela and that whole, the Soweto and his imprisonment. So history is so important to me, and to be able to express it, and this is just one of the very many ways that I I use it because it's something that is about getting fabric, putting it together, and making something out of this says, wow, I can do something and make a contribution in terms of my artwork. And so I choose to use them as another medium of expressing how much I love humanity and wanting to use my art to tell a story. So now that you have seen and, for instance, a protester, girls, I call them my protesters, is always something that we have that's in the media that has to be protested about. So she's representing the fact that she's a pro-choicer, and she goes back to during the late 60s and early 70s. I'm an activist. That was my time period as far as being a young woman. So therefore, these are the things I tell about. So she represents the activists, and then we have the Ines, the racism and sexism. So these dolls, I call them protesters. They represent civil service dolls that who have jobs that are we have our nurses, we have the fire chief, and your traffic guard, and so that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to show that we're women, and we comprise a lot of what goes on here in this country. So I'm trying to give them their due in dolls. So when girls with their imagination. So when you're thinking and pretending, because usually that's what young girls do with dolls. They're pretending, and it's like what goes on in their minds when they're pretending. And I wanted to give them substance, so these dolls will relate to different people that they can see in their everyday lives. So therefore, you had to have a nurse, and of course, we have women who are in the fire, as far as fighting services. I have dolls who represent, Tabernacle was putting up solar energy when the local church was getting, and I wanted her to be a photographer, where she was filming solar energy. So I used a background drop showing Tabernacle Baptist Church in Burlington getting their very first, solar panels put up. These are my dolls to represent a big part of me, and that's singing. I love to sing. I have a passion for singing, and these are my dolls that, and I love singing many different styles of music. So they represent the opera, these particular dolls, and then I have the dolls here. I call them my Hoochie Mama dolls, where they, they're a little bit more revealing, and I'm the kind of grandmother like, put something on, cover up. And I just wanted to, and so I just, like I said, we are across the board. We have our women. We do so many different things. So that's why everything. I didn't want to leave out anything. I have dolls who these particular dolls. We have the diner. They're my dolls that, the caterers and the bakers, and she's one of my favorite. Her name is Tiara, and she's the director of a radio station named Wish, which is really awesome because during Obama's campaign, I had various dolls, probably about 30 dolls, who actually went on a tour. And they went to visit all these old American historical homes. And I actually have different pictures behind them showing them in these particular, and it was all about fundraising. All these dolls they're doing a fundraiser to help support Obama in the spirit of being a doll. And that was a lot of fun because they spoke on how they had to, get their money together and how they had to connect with other different dolls and friends and family members to make sure that he got in the White House. So another extension of my imagination in terms of, directing them according to what I want to occur in terms of manifesting the fact that I wanted Obama to win. So I used the dolls, to point away, and the clothes. I like during the fall, sometimes that'll be with the design, and then sometimes it's summer. And, like this is a lawyer. She has an attaché case. This particular doll, she represents home economics, and how she felt about the fact that a lot of our young people don't get home economics again. A lot of them don't have that guidance in the homemaking that a lot of us older, in our older generation, have grew up with. The young men don't have, whether the auto making and the cabinet making, wood shops, and a lot of those things, because of funding, they're no longer prepared. And so that's why she has that expression on her face. She's very angry, in a sense, about the lack of home economics. And like I said, any number of the dolls, they all have different personas that speak to, it could be a crisis, it could be something that's an elation. Like I said, and sometimes it's just about fabric. Treat all this, and it's all lined, and and trying to put the faces on and make sure the eyes are even. And then these are sisters. She's a judge, and she's an environmentalist. And some of the models, like her name is Madison Cochran. And when I tell her story, I usually have Rodney King in the background, in commemoration to Mr. Johnny Cochran. So again, and I have she's a pilot, and she has a franchise of cookie stores, and I have the whole, and it's so much fun. And then and then what I do is sometimes I'm using the same. Sometimes I'll get a pair of pants of different shades of brown, because I'm really trying to make sure there's always somebody, well, they're not dark enough, or this one's not light enough, or do you have this, or you have that? And I really believe I have really gotten every shade of color that I could possibly, get. And it's wonderful for me to sit down and say, well, I created that. That's a design that I have, and it's like, eat your heart out, Barbie, But just like Madam Walker, and like I'm in environmental and thinking green. That was the dolls. I'll use a lot of backdrops based on what I'm reading at the time. So I home study a grandchild, so I have, I think, probably some a lot of educational books that they're surrounded with to accentuate my imagination. Because then you have to take the head off, and some faces are really they're so photographic, and then some dolls won't. And I realize, like, sometimes the darker skinned dolls sometimes is really to make sure you can get a picture real close of their face, and using lighter colors for their lips to bring out their face. I liked her this one. And this particular doll, she's my warden of the prison warden, and they're having a summit, and the summit is they invited. It was called the Judges Summit, and all these women that were in the penal system, like wardens and judges, they were all to come together and talk about the reformation of justice for inmates, women who were inmates, dolls who were inmates. So, that's Judge Cruz. Yeah, so that's, oh my gosh, I had a friend who wanted to purchase a doll. Matter of fact, she wanted to purchase this particular doll, and it looked a lot like her. And it was so funny, because when I was asked, just trying to, all right, girls, you gotta. I find myself talking to them and then hoping they don't answer me back. We're in Venice. I was asked there was a woman who owned a cafe, and she wanted a doll that looked like her, and she was so creative in her dance. But she says, well, how much? And the man who was helping, who wanted to produce the doll, and they wanted to make copies of it. And I said, $20. I says, wait a minute, it cost me $20. Now these are my Latino dolls. I have a lot of dolls that represent the Latinos, and I wanted to show that they were also a very big part of Obama, being elected. And so one's a superintendent, she's into international fundraising, and they all like. And then I have this particular doll showing that she's in a motherless way, and like I said, they all have occupations, and she represents the Red Hatters, the organization, or the women, they wear the red hats, and So I wanted to, and then so I found some little bottle of champagne, so I gave him something too. And this is funny, particularly this one. This young girl, she has her fake diamond on, and I had to get that straight because she had a grandmother who was like, who took her back to the blood diamond kind of era, you know, in terms of remembering that there's so many children that suffered in, you know, in them mining the diamonds. And so that was a discussion, you know, that was brought up. The fact that, you know, the diamonds, and the grandmother was like, you need to take that big old diamond off. And this particular doll, like she's a this doll's a lawyer, and you have your Muslim doll here who's, you know, she's got her sign for Michelle Obama, because you'd be surprised how many women it was about Michelle Obama. I got that. And then this particular doll, I did her when the towers went down in New York, and so it was called. You know, she has her box of tissues. You know, it's like my issues in a box of tissues. And then this particular doll, her name is Rosetta Parker, and she represents, you know, the free king. And so the stories that I have that, you know, correlate her is the king's story. And then sometimes, like I said, it's about a pretty fabric, and then they'll have, once I've gotten the fabric and the design and all that correlated, and the personalities, and it'll be something that'll, you know, that they are, you know. It's not just so much the outfits. And now there's I think she's another lawyer. She represented a justice lawyer against injustice. She was she had a case. Like I said, a lot of them have cases and you know, colleagues. And this was Michael Jackson. So it was like a community theater. And the young girls and the young kids were doing the Wiz, and she represented and then I went to see This Is It. And so she has her little This Is It tag on. You know, I reduced it and made it like she had she had gone to see Michael Jackson's last film. And these are all my little cute grandkids and my children pictures. And then I guess this one is a male woman. And I gave her to commemorate my male lady, because she is fantastic. She's a wonderful male person, and I wanted to do a doll to represent it. And then at the time, there were a lot of layoffs with them in the male, you know, in that the postal industry. And I was trying to give word to, even though we have like our emails and our Facebooks and all that way, it's just something very personal about getting, you know, letters and. You know, we really depend on our male people. I just wanted that to be understood. And again, you know, it's about, like I said, some is about fashion and then remembering, because I have over 336, so sometimes it's not easy to remember what they've all done, and that's why I have my trusty Kellogg. So they're all Kellogg, and I can, this is a lot of my artwork, and a lot of times, like I said, it's about styling, and I love music. I love to sing, and I'm always performing. These are Vice Squad. These dolls represent the Vice Squad, so they have a whole story behind them. You know, both of them are detectives, and there's some, and it's a pursuit that they have after some political criminals. So, and like I said, I have public statements that I make as far as what I feel, as far as what goes on socially, and I make my statements through my dolls and through my art. You know, like this particular piece right here, I can't stand balloons, and it's like a little grandchild sneaking away, and feeling like, wow. I'm most concerned about the birds when it comes to balloons. So a lot of that, let's say, the fashions and representing music, basically representing me and how I feel, and probably the many characters I've had to play on stage. Especially, I played a lot of 19th century pieces or historical acting, reenacting. And here's we got the Jenna 6, another piece that dramatized as far as the injustice that our young youth go through. This is one of my favorites, and her name is Madam Walker, and she's my doll reader kind of chord. And as we move along, and this, but you know, I had like this particular dolls where there's some dolls they took part in slavery, but it's surprising some dolls they fared different from, you know, some, not so many dolls, people fared different on the plantations than other. You had like your field hands, and you had some who worked in, was raised on the plantation, and life wasn't as bleak to them, you know, so I had showing that. And then I had the dolls which actually toiled a little bit more, and the ones in the cotton fields, and then I had, you know, where the plantation owner, and it like, and showing the one who took care of the, you know, the Mrs. Children. Then I have dolls in which, oh, like this particular doll where you get to turn her upside down. She's pregnant. And she's got a little bundle in there. And then you turn her upside down, and voila, there's the little baby. So I made 2 of those. I like to collect old telephone, you know, replicas of telephones. I should be a telephone operator. And this is my, let's start off my lost earring collection. And then it just got to be where I just placed the earrings up there. But then it has some oldie but goodies. And I don't know a woman who hasn't had a favorite earring, so that has a sentiment that goes along with it. So they're all in between. So it made a nice little art piece. So I kept it there as that. Just hoping that I have 3 little granddaughters, and I'm hoping that they'll come in and go, ooh, ah, you know, there's a lot of ooh, ah things, you know, and a lot of the dolls are named after relatives, and like I have a granddaughter named April, and this tells the story of the 1930s. Then you have my fashion fair dolls, and these are, well, she's a fashion fair, and she's an auto designer, and then you have a graduation and Phillies, and then I guess I had the dolls who were rooting for Obama. These are made of little walnuts, little magnets. It's a story.
Okay.
These are my these represent dancers. You know, I love dancing assiduously. It's one of the, you know, it's like, if anything I was going to, it was like the greatness of great when it comes to dancing. That's how I had pictured myself anyway. And so these dolls represent my heart song. You know, the dance, singing, and, you know, as a young girl, you know, ballet, and this the old dance teacher who's seeing one of her prize students, you know, up there, and, you know, gone to see her recital. So that's what she represents. That school teacher who was out there. Her feet are kind of even posed, you know, where, you know, dance, because there's something about the elegance of being a dancer who's very serious about, you know, dancing, be it classical or jazz, and I love to dance. And this, I think she's another one of my most photogenic. She's my historian, and so she, a lot of times when I'm telling historical stories, she'll be the host of, you know, of that. And this little girl represents some little girl who has won a essay contest. So I, you know, went to, and it could have been seeing the lace fabric and all that just so accentuated, you know, the outfit, and she's a doll that's hosting for Kwanzaa. They're going to a Kwanzaa party, so they're you know, so they're all dressed festively, and I love doing hair. I love doing pictures of hair, you know, women, and, you know, like doing the hair thing. So you'll see a lot of me in that. Now this is a wedding right here, a wedding party. Yeah. Because it shows this is a sister, and the sister was in love with her sister's, now her husband is going to be the husband. So this is one of those soap opera stories, basically. And she's an anchor news person, and so they're all a part of a family and a wedding, you know, at the wedding, a wedding picture, and she's feeling miserable because she knows she's carrying her sister's, you know, husband's child. So that's one of my little soap opera. Mm-hmm. I might not have been in this field, you know. And I just usually like this, like, alright, Really, because you had some of them dolls you wanted to look like they were really pressed. You know what I mean? Like the creator outfits were Miss Black America, Pennsylvania Essence. She's always, she's always. I see her on Facebook a lot in fabric, and she's a fashion designer, so it's so much fun when she comes over because she can look at different dolls I made and know what she made with the fabric. Feel good to you, like it feels good to me. I think that it all began as a child. I love dolls. I have a lot of dolls around me. I think back in the early, well, I guess you could say the mid-50s, I had, they had the Chatty Cathy dolls, the Tiny Tear dolls, and my mom, she was working part-time at a bathing suit company, so I had access to all kinds of different fabric, and therefore I made my dolls' outfits, and I think that's when it comes to design. I love design, and even today some of my designs are in Vanderbilt University, so I feel that it's not so much just designing for the doll clothes, is that I love to design. I love designing, fashion designing, and so I take that love that I've had for fashion designing and try to make representations of my imagination, with all the fabric that I've acquired, from friends and just going to fabric places and saying, wow, I like that fabric and I can make something out of it. So it's another extension of my art, having something around you and being able to create something with it. So I can say that was my beginnings as a child, just making outfits for my dolls, and I loved to dress. I made best dress in my high school, and dressing was very essential. My mother was the type of person, when you walked out the door, it's got to be like a take it back, So my brother was sole designer of the year in '84. So we were a family that really, really were fashion motivated. About how good you looked when you went out. So like I said, back to the fact it was a child, and my mother, I guess, loving us to look good. And then I think I went on to when my daughter was born, and I made her 23 dolls. And when I made the dolls, I had women empowerment. I really wanted her to know just how we as black women and our contributions we had made, and it was so easy for people to not really look and see exactly what it was to be black in America. And being black in America is, even today, I think, our loss of our children, separations from our men, just there's such a heavy trial in being black here. Seems like I even think of like the doll, the black Barbie. They do Barbie, but then they really don't give their. That's my black Barbie. If you go to the little girl's house and you're looking and you go to name her doll, she still is the black Barbie's my black Barbie. So all these dolls have names and they all have occupations and things that they do. Feel good to you, like it feels good to me. Okay, well, what I've done is I'm invited often to show my art, because I'm not so much just about make dolls. I'm a visual artist also. So, and I'm a performing artist. And a lot of times I will combine all three of them. I might go and do a project at a school, especially at schools, and I want to show them that within who I am, I have a huge imagination. I have a lot of muses. I've been very gifted in terms of being a performing artist, being a visual artist, loving to dance. I love to read, and I teach. So in combining all of those, so I use the dolls as props. I might be doing a historical piece, and I might want to, and I'll bring those group of dolls that correlate with the subject at that particular time. I've been asked to exhibit the dolls, mostly at the libraries and not so long ago, the Quakers, they had a commemoration, Black History commemoration, and I brought the dolls that, were my dolls that told the Underground Railroad, story. So a lot of it is the dolls is about in displaying them and telling the story and them being a part of my broader composite of the entertainment that I've been asked to do at that particular time. How am I going to entertain these children? How am I going to teach them? And what mediums am I going to use?
Feels good to you, like it feels good to me.
I have my endeavor to have a museum because I'm at 336. It's like, where am I going to put all these dolls? And without feeling like they're becoming dust, being gatherers of dust. And I want to be able to show my work because it's been an endearment to me. So I continue to do it. Sometimes I give myself a goal. I thought I was just going to do 111, and that was now I'm at 336. Albeit I have made thousands of dolls, but during Obama's campaign, that's when I decided I was going to make a collective amount. Before it was like, just make maybe $50 with, that would be a display. But now, like I said, I'm at 336, and I like that because it's like it gives a wowie to it. And you're just like, wow. And
Feel good to you, like it feels good to me.
I'm hoping, like I said, if I can get a museum and a stationery, I can perform and show my art and just be Karmaya, the art of being me. That's what I would, I would say would be the echelon of a dream in terms of showing my creativity.
Please turn up the jam. It's Friday night.